bring it back so you know which generation you're from. Back in the 50s, 60s, the most important man in Abaco, throughout all Abaco, his name was Shervin Archer, my uncle. And right here he had a general store. I'm old enough to remember coming in here. His wife there helping him out. And this is what happened after hurricane. And giving you all some history, before there was Albrys and Sawyers and Malone and all them names, the most powerful man in the history of Abaco lived right there. That was like a castle right there. That's what's left of it. That's Uncle Shervin's house right there. And he had the only gated community, gated house in the whole of Dundas and Murphytown, right there. Right on Front Street, Dundas-town, he's on a hill. And not only did he have the only gated community, gated house, this fella owned just about every piece of property in Abaco. All the prime property was his. He was also the first man of color to become a member of parliament for the UBP government. Know your history. Most of it died with us. But this used to be the king of Abaco Castle, Captain Shervin Archer's, his grocery store right on the side there. He had many of mail boats, just like Brent similar those now have all these boats. Only goods you have come to Abaco if you had it come with Captain Shervin. All of that you see over there, Pelican Shores, every piece of that land was owned by the Archers. The Archers owned every ounce of land on Pelican Shores. Captain Shervin was the king. All of that you see with the government dockers, all around there, Captain Shervin, those have to negotiate with the government to take a piece of that land that they own on the waterfront in Marsh Harbor. They own all the waterfronts in Marsh Harbor, everything. Everything was owned by the Archers. They always be talking, but you all don't know what's going on. But Captain Shervin was the member of parliament for the UBP, and the Archers was the household name. Just like the Albrys are today, everything was Archers, Archers, Archers. The Archers is the one that saved the Albrys. The Albrys had plenty of children, but they ain't had no income. The Archers have to give the Albrys those flour, grits, and sugar to survive, all because of the generosity of Captain Shervin Archer. The Albrys had survived because they ain't had the money. They had plenty of children, but they had no money. So Captain Shervin, my uncle, saved a generations of Albrys. All that land was ours. I wonder if they know that history or they appreciate the Archers for their love and kindness and their generosity to have saved a whole generation of Albrys, Sawyers, and all the rest of them. And the man that did all this was his house. This was the biggest house in Abaco. Only brick house in Abaco that had all this wall around it. I just feel like bringing you back into history because I almost died on the streets of Dundas-town, so all this history was gonna die with me. So I'm just educating you all today on the 14th of August 2022, that there was a king, a very generous king. And unfortunately, Captain Shervin never had one single child. Member of Parliament, the richest man in Abaco, but he never had one child. Wow. That sounds like somebody we know in Marsh Harbor, the richest man in Marsh Harbor, but he don't have one single child, but he got money. And he also, following after Uncle Shervin, he's very generous. After the hurricane, the richest man in Marsh Harbor, bought up everything, and he's helping all of his key people that works for him. Has not a child, but he has generosity. Thank God for him. Most places in the world, this would have been restored as a historical building. This will be a historical building. The first black man to enter in a white party is UBP, Captain Shervin Archer, the richest black man in Abaco in his day. This building would have been restored for the rest of the generation to remember who Captain Shervin was to the people of all Abaco. Very generous man, very powerful man, but he was the king of Abaco, Captain Shervin Archer. This building needs to be restored. History must be continued to be told. The correct history of who were the makers and shakers of this town. And Shervin was the everything man. Nothing moves in Abaco unless it was Captain Shervin. All the generation property you see here, every family got 5 acres. Captain Shervin, government was in power, and they make sure that every family that moved from Old Place in Cornish Town got 5 acres from road to road. Captain Shervin Archer was the architect for generation of Dundas Town and Murphy Town people to get land back after the hurricane of the 30s. This one of these Kai Care video let you know who Captain Shervin was and what he meant to the people of Abaco.